Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions.
How about those Chiefs?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kingdom Corner. I am your host, Andrew, and with me is your other host, co-host, the man who loves his coffee, who's trying to blend in with the camouflage today, but is still sticking out that Chiefs red. Your favorite person, Dale Baker.
Andrew, thank you. It's always good to see you on a Monday, and I'm glad we're talking about Chiefs football, but I wish it was a different kind of conversation.
Yeah, I wish it was a victory Monday, and unfortunately, man, dropping one to the Packers last night, and man, there's lots to dissect in this game.
Yes, there is.
Man, I guess we'll start with this, right? The early on in the game, we thought that the Chiefs defense was going to step up and not allow early points like they did against the Raiders. And here they are. The defense probably had their worst outing of the season so far, giving up the most points they have all year.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And so they gave up 27 points to the Packers. The previous high was 24 to the Broncos. So it was not a good outing, but some that could be dealt and maybe thrown to injuries as well. Drew Tranquil took a knee to the head. I mean, you can't come back from that in the game. So, I mean, in all seriousness, we hope he's okay and health-wise, that he's doing great and that he'll recover well. Brian Cook went out later, but, man, those are two big guys, especially Drew Tranquil, leading that defense in the middle there.
Yes. Yeah, it was a big loss. But I thought the kid that came in and replaced him did a fine job. I mean, he wasn't Tranquil or Nick Bolton production, but he seemed like he managed. And so I think that being the middle linebacker there and receiving the most communication from Spags, I mean, I wonder if that hurt some of their exotics, because I feel like they didn't blitz like McDuffie or Snead as much as they have in the past few games. I know they tried a couple times to get there, but they could not get any pressure on Jordan Love.
No.
Zero. Zip.
Well, and if you'll remember, one of my keys to the game was you have to get pressure on Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And what do you know? They didn't do that. The other thing I said that they need to do to win the game was to establish the run game, and they did until the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, guess how many touches or carries Isaiah Pacheco got?
By the way you're talking, I'm going to say 0.
One.
Oh, okay. That's
the fourth
worse.
quarter. I mean, it's not like you're down 3 scores. It's still a one-possession game. You can run the ball.
Yeah.
And instead, he gets one touch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
a quick three and out, right? When they got the ball, when they had the chance to tie the game, or I guess take the lead because they hadn't kicked the field goal yet. They could have taken the lead with a touchdown, and they go do a 3 and out instead. They give the ball right back to the Packers, and they kick a field goal. Boom. They're moving and shaking. They're up by 8. Still one score, but a little harder to get, a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Not impossible, but
well, it kind of goes back because we were down by 8 because we went for a 2 earlier and didn't get it.
Right.
So, and obviously, as we always say, hindsight is always 20/20.
Yes, it is.
But in that moment, were you okay with them going for 2 to try? Because at that point, they're trying to tie it up.
I did. I thought it was too. I thought it was too early. I always think take the points, the for sure points. And I always know that they've worked on different things. But then when they come out and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna have Travis Kelce be the lead blocker," I'm like, "Oh, that's your best play on the 2-point conversion." So I was okay. I guess I was okay with it in the beginning, but then when I saw the play, hindsight's 20/20, right? You're like, "Oh, that's what you came up with," and I'm like, "You could have very well just kicked the field goal, been down 1, and then that kind of puts you in a position." But I'm sure Andy Reid has a sheet that says, we need to go for 2 here in this time. But it was still early. It was super early in the game, so I didn't understand.
Yeah, that was early in the third quarter when the Chiefs got the ball, when they went for 2, and so lots of time still left. I was okay with going for the 2-point conversion there, but like you said, when I saw what the play call was, like a long developing run play to the left, I mean, I don't care who you are.
Well, maybe they were thinking
if you're from the 2-yard line out, first off, there's less field to defend, right?
Right.
And then you get a long developing play because that was not a quick hit out to the left. That was
right.
Man, it was a very slow developing play for the NFL. And so and
I think our left tackle was out at that point in the game, wasn't he?
Probably he's out
Yeah.
about every other play, it seems like.
Yeah. So that's not even why would you run to the left? And maybe they thought, hey, no one will see this coming, not even the Packers, and we'll get in.
Not even us. So
not even
our guys won't even see it coming.
They're like,
So,
what? What'd you say?
It's like,
what are we doing?
We're running which direction?
Yeah.
We're not going to run up the middle where the strength of our offensive line is. That would make too much sense.
Maybe Mahomes just needs to say, hey, I didn't hear that, and call his own play.
Yeah. Like, I'm okay with the running play. I have no problem with that because they've been running it well. Isaiah Pacheco is averaging over 6 yards a carry in that game.
Yeah.
So it's
put Chris Jones at fullback and just run behind Chris Jones.
There you go. I promise you that guy will clear somebody out of the way.
Yeah, he will hit somebody for sure. I don't know if they'll get in, but they'll definitely clear a space. So yeah, but I think we have to. So we mentioned that some of the Chiefs things, but I think we have to tip our hats to the Packers. They had a game plan,
yes,
and they executed it to perfection. I mean, Andy Reid talked about it in his press conference where they were hiking the ball like 5 seconds or less every play. So they had a plan like, hey, we're going to keep the ball, hold on to the ball. And I think their first drive was over half the quarter.
Yeah.
And so I remember Mike Tirico saying in the fourth quarter, this is the Packers' 5th possession in the game. And that was, and that's crazy. And so they had a plan and they executed it to perfection by scoring almost every time they touched the ball. And then we had no trouble moving the ball. It was in the red zone where we had trouble. So let's talk about the red zone mishaps, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, that's one of the big problems for the Chiefs right now is the red zone. And so, and it's not a one-time game thing, right? It's something that's been going on for a while. And so the Chiefs settle for 2 field goals in the first half, right?
Yeah.
And so they get to the red zone. They start taking red zone sacks. And I mean, they started with a 1st and goal from the 5, end up kicking like a 30-yard field goal or something because they kept taking negative plays and sacks. And I think they said even in the broadcast, that's the first red zone sack that they've given up all year. So I think Patrick Mahomes was, or at least one of the top least sacked quarterbacks in the league, and got sacked 3 times, I think, in the first half alone. So it's not good. Not good. And so and then the penalties obviously kill us all the time. And so I know we got out of one situation, but I know Mahomes had taken it down to the 2-yard line on one of those runs, and then we had a hold, and Creed Humphrey was not happy about that hold. I wasn't happy about that hold. I'm not sure that was a hold. I mean,
I'm not sure either.
The guy wasn't actively even trying to get away. He reached his arm out, but I mean, other than that, he's not even trying to get away from Creed Humphrey, and you're going to call a holding on. I mean,
I was just thinking. My thing was, again, I don't like talking about the refs, and I don't think the refs cost people games, but maybe they did this game early. But I just want consistency. That's all. That's I think the big thing. And so it felt like we were being penalized because we were the Chiefs, and the Packers were given a pass because they're not as good as the Chiefs, and that's what it felt like. Just a little bit. And so that's not a good feeling, I don't think, for players or for fans at all. And so I think the referees, they just need to be more consistent on the calls. I mean, the one I think that sticks out in my mind is not the defensive pass interference at the end, but I think the 4th and 1 play where Mike Dano was getting a handful in his face and being, just held to be prevented. And so I think, and that was a huge play in the game. That was the turning point in the ball game. And so,
they end up scoring on that drive.
And I was like, I think we could all saw that. I think everyone saw that. I think the announcer saw it and decided not to say anything about it. And I think, I just wish there was consistency in the calls. So if the Chiefs hold, let's call it. If the Chiefs pass interference, let's call it. I think it just should be
same both ways.
Yeah, same both ways. And if you're doing the same thing, then everyone should be penalized. And so I think that's the biggest thing about the referees. And again, I don't like talking about refs or blaming refs for a game. I don't think they cost us the game. I think our offense and our defense cost us the game.
Yeah,
but they didn't help us at all. And not that, some people would say they are in the business of helping the Kansas City Chiefs, but they were not helping us last night.
I mean, I don't want to hear any more arguments for the rest of the year from somebody saying the Chiefs get all the calls. I mean, at this point, we can't really say that anymore, right?
No, we can't.
I mean, it's not the case.
Yeah. So back to the red zone. Yeah, I just don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the play, like the plays. I don't know if it's a playmaker. I mean, Mahomes was on. He was almost like perfect for a long time in the game. Not a lot of drops, not a lot of incompletions. It just felt like we couldn't get the big play, right? To get the momentum going, and then it felt like we just
Yeah.
struggled in the red zone to get the ball inside the end zone. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
tough. It's
They could
frustrating to
not punch it
watch.
in.
Yeah, frustrating game to watch. And hasn't been like that in a long time.
Yeah. Not for at least a week or two, anyway.
Well, I have a
No.
short memory. See, we're gonna record again Thursday, Friday, and we'll be talking about the Buffalo Bills, and I'll be like, "Hey, we're gonna cream the Buffalo
That's
Bills." I
right.
mean, I just can't
I mean, I
wait
don't know
till
if
they
you
come
think that
in.
right now, but
I do not. I do
Okay.
not. But give me a few days, and I will.
All right.
So,
All right. I like it.
well,
I like the confidence.
let me ask you this: Are the Chiefs in a rebuild year?
Man, you know what? For the Chiefs, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
For
All
most
right.
teams, this would be a stellar year for them still, because
Right.
the Chiefs, even though they are in a quote rebuilding year, they're still one of the better teams in the NFL.
I know.
You know,
It's
even
scary.
without any weapons other than Travis Kelce for Patrick Mahomes. And Rashid
Right.
Rice is starting to, assert himself a little bit, but outside of those two guys, you have nobody. I mean, you can
Yeah.
see it Mahomes. I don't think he trusts any of those wide receivers to make a play. I
No.
mean, that interception that he threw, first off, as soon as he let go of the ball, I thought that's an interception. I could see it. I could see it the whole way. The
Yeah.
other side is Sky Moore, who was the intended target on that pass,
Uh-huh.
did not help his quarterback
No.
out at all. I mean,
No.
you can watch the play. He hesitated once the ball was in the air,
Right.
and so I'm not saying he would have caught it, but he could have at least played a little bit of
Defended.
defense there.
Yeah.
Right. And so it just, between
I don't know.
that,
It's yeah.
MVS, threw that long shot to him, and MVS decided to run towards the defender instead of away from the defender.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they were off a little bit there. And I think just plays like that are just starting to eat at Mahomes a little bit.
Yeah. And Rashid Rice is not a deep threat, which is okay. He does great in those short passes and those tough yardage. But maybe we can get him. Maybe we need to see what he can do deep. I don't know. I mean, he caught
I
that
mean,
one
might
on
as
the
well.
sideline. We caught that one on the sideline against
Yep. Against the
uh,
Raiders.
the Raiders last week. So let's just maybe put him on the outside. I don't know, but man, it's been frustrating. Yeah. So I mean that whole stopping and not trusting, like I think Mahomes is so accurate, he's gonna put the ball where you're gonna be at,
Yeah.
not where you're at. And so I don't know if that's just different for these guys who they've played with. And so yeah, I think we're in the rebuild year. It's tough. I mean, you asked me off air here, like what are our chances to go in the Super Bowl? And I
Yeah.
still 87% chance going to the Super Bowl, right?
87%. All
Yeah.
right.
And then you said,
But
hey,
what about winning
whatever.
it?
And I
Right.
said 15% chance because we still got 15 back there. And so
All
there's
right.
but 15% chance. But after seeing the 49ers play last night or yesterday afternoon against the Eagles and what they did was pretty impressive. And I told you we should go ahead and mail the Lombardi to the Bay Area there and just
Yeah.
have their parade now because they are rolling.
Yeah. So the only chance the Chiefs have, as far as the AFC side, is that no one else in the AFC is asserting themselves right now.
Right.
Right. The Ravens
Yeah.
without Mark Andrews is huge. And so
Yeah.
that brings up we'll talk about it here in a second, but
Okay.
Zach Ertz, right? So,
Yeah.
but anyways, so the Ravens are missing Mark Andrews for the year. And so their offense is completely different without him.
Right.
The Dolphins are still struggling on defense, right?
Yeah.
So even though they beat the
Still haven't
Commanders,
beat a team over 500.
no, still haven't. So then you have the Jaguars, who are very hit and miss. They'll have some weeks that they look unstoppable and other weeks that they look very mediocre.
Right.
So, I mean, you could say the same thing about the Chiefs, though, too. So,
Yeah.
and then you have the teams below that, the Steelers, the Browns, the
Right.
Texans, and those ones, they're good, but they are a few years away still from being one of the top competitors in the conference for that. And so the AFC side, and you can say the same thing about the NFC side, because outside of the 49ers, you have no dominant team on the NFC side. I know the
Right.
Eagles just lost their second game, but they're not dominating any games that they're
No.
winning. And credit to them. They're still winning their games. So still have only lost 2. So they're still a great team, but they're not a team that's scaring anybody because they're not blowing people out. Like the 49ers just did to the second best team in the NFC. They just blew them out of the water. So
blew them out in their own stadium.
Yeah. So that's the only team right now that's looking dominant is the 49ers. So
right.
But back to Zach Ertz, right? So Zach Ertz requested a release from the Cardinals because he is frustrated at that situation. It's like, I'm close to being done. I just want to be able to compete for a championship.
Yeah.
So they granted that. They released him. And I thought, I'm not sure how great he really is anymore. At one point, he was one of the top in the game. But
oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but in the last few years, I don't know if I would say the same thing about him anymore. And taking nothing away from him, he's still a great player. Would still be an improvement to a lot of teams. If nothing else, just his presence and leadership ability. And so I'm not even sure he's much better than Noah Gray is at this point.
Man,
and I'm just saying that because to credit Noah Gray as well, because Noah Gray's been improving a lot over this year, in the last few years. So credit to him. But say he goes to Baltimore and he becomes Lamar Jackson's safety blanket again, right? Or he chooses to go to Buffalo. I think he said that the teams that he's narrowed it down to is like the Eagles, the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and maybe one other team. But I think after the Chiefs lost last night, I'm not so sure that Zach Ertz is going to see that as a championship squad and want to go.
Well, I don't think. Do you think we need another tight end? I don't think we need a tight end. I think we need.
I know, but I would take him just.
We need E-Hop to say, "Hey, release me. I am out of here." And
I would take Ertz simply just to keep him away from other teams.
Oh, there you go.
Not because we'd really need him.
Put him on the practice squad. There you go. I like it.
Yes.
It's very
I mean, I'm not sure that he would love that, but I'm just all about helping the Chiefs out here. So
there you go.
But yeah, so that's the only benefit for the Chiefs going in here. So
right.
But
so we get Zach Ertz and we move Travis Kelce out to wideout and then Noah Gray and Zach Ertz on the line. I love it. Let's do it.
There you go. I could do that. Travis Kelce could run those wideout routes. Oh, yeah. And he could probably be a deep threat, honestly. He might not run as fast, but he could get down the field and make a contested catch.
Well, as long as he's not getting pushed in the back. I mean,
oh man, no joke. Okay, so
I just.
Yeah, no, you are not wrong. So let's talk about the refs one more time, not to harp on it too much. So, and I will say they made bad calls going both ways.
Yeah.
So there's a few that stick out to me. We talked a little bit about the holding on Creed Humphrey, which I still don't think was a holding at all.
Right.
And I think they took away basically a touchdown from the Chiefs because they were going to have 1st and goal from the 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a huge miss on them. And then you had the personal foul call against the Packers on Patrick Mahomes when he was scrambling. As much as I love Patrick Mahomes on protecting, he wasn't out of bounds. That was not a late hit.
Right.
And then you had they called that MVS got out of bounds on the play on that last drive instead of forward progress, even though the defender was clearly pulling him backwards. Another missed call by the refs.
Hey, that was okay though.
I know. Hey, you know what? We like them when they go our way, but those are two. But you can also say that even though Mahomes got that late hit, Pacheco gave it right back to them on a personal foul.
Yes, he did.
We'll talk about here in just a second too. But then, a few plays later, they throw a deep ball for MVS, and that is one of the worst pass interference non-calls I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
tough.
The guy is on his back giving piggyback rides out here.
Yeah.
Only to not even have one thing called against him. And they asked MVS about, I just saw he was asking them about in the locker room, and you could tell he was mad and upset, just taking his socks and shoes off and everything while he's talking. They said, well, what'd you see? Was there? He's like, I don't know, can't tell you. He's like, but could you see what happened? Like, I was on the ground trying to make a catch, but I was on the ground, so I can't tell you what happened. That's and so obviously he was trying to say without saying, I was on the ground being interfered with, and so I couldn't make the catch, even though I was still trying to make the catch. But I can't say it because I don't want to be fined. Right. And even Patrick Mahomes says something along the lines of, well, it's not up to the rest. They're letting us play, and I want them to be able to let us play.
Yeah.
which is the right thing to say. But anybody
Yeah.
who knows, I promise you get him outside of a press conference where he's not being recorded and nothing's going to get out.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
saying that's a pass interference every single time and it should have been called.
It should have been called.
Players and coaches cannot say that because
Yeah.
the NFL doesn't like holding their refs accountable, apparently.
No.
And so we can't say anything negative about the refs. Now, we're
Yeah.
allowed to say anything negative about players and coaches as much as we want to,
Right.
but we cannot talk about the refs.
Yeah.
So, because apparently they're a protected group.
And that's all right. We've talked about before is where this need to be accountability, like you just said, to the referees. Like even if it's like not necessarily right after the game because everyone's emotional and things like that, but that today or tomorrow where they have to be reviewed, I think you start fining refs for bad calls.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and like, hey, you missed this, or you blew this call, or you didn't make this call. And part of your check is going back to the NFL to a donation, right? And so, yeah, I definitely think there needs to be something like that. And so, not to put more pressure on because their job is impossible. I mean, it's an impossible job to get everything right. But that's where I think
I don't think you would necessarily have to fine them for everything they miss, but just egregious ones that they miss.
Yeah. Like,
or
why didn't you
egregious
call
ones
this?
that they call either way.
Right.
They have to be very obvious and plain that they missed it, like the pass interference against MVS. Right. But then there's also the very last play, the Hail Mary to Travis Kelce and the whole group in the end zone.
Right.
You can watch that play. The defender, 2 arms straight out, pushing him in the back. And you can see him kind of lunging forward, Travis Kelce, as he's being pushed in the back, and still no call. Right. And I know on those Hail Marys, they let a lot more go, but you can't fully extend 2 arms and push a guy down.
Right.
You just can't do that. And
so let me ask you this.
Calls.
They put the Chiefs there on the 2-yard line. Do the Chiefs tie the game?
On which point? On which one?
On the Travis Kelce one. Do they tie the game?
Yes.
And they tie it, and we're in overtime.
Well, tie it. I don't know. They score a touchdown. Yes. Will they get a 2-point conversion? I'm not so sure.
Well, they'll run to the left with Pacheco, baby. Or Clyde
out of the game.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, man, he's a workhorse.
Hey, I will say, Clyde's been running hard. He might actually get it. So, plus, even when he wasn't running hard, he'd always get 2 yards. So that's all we would need. So, not trying to throw shade his way, but I mean that's just what he was consistently doing was 2 to 3 yards every carry.
That is hilarious.
So
you're awesome. I love it. I love it. So
so I think they would get the touchdown. I would hesitate to say that they would also get the 2-point conversion.
All right, where do we go from here? How do the Chiefs fix this?
All right,
is it fixable?
I got one more thing I have to ask.
Oh, okay. All right.
About Pacheco.
Oh yeah,
so Pacheco gets out, gets thrown out of the game,
right?
Because he threw a left hook at somebody.
Yeah, which I don't think he connected, and he's only hurting himself with his hand anyway.
He is. So my question is, do you think the NFL is going to suspend him, and for how long?
No, I think they'll look at the film. I think yes, the guy was making a block, but I think it was a more excessive block than it was needed.
Oh, it absolutely was.
Yeah, and so I think like Pacheco just got caught. Right, he was the second guy always gets caught. I felt like that guy was like, you had him blocked. The play was way down the field, and you're still putting his face in the dirt. And who? I mean, a grown man is not going to want their face in the dirt. And so yeah, Pacheco responded. He needed to keep his cool. He could have just pushed him maybe. Instead of throwing a left hook, but I can understand why he was frustrated and upset. And so, yeah, definitely. I don't think they're going to suspend him. I think they'll look at the film, hopefully, all of it, and be like, okay, yeah, you guys missed this. It should have been a double personal foul, offsetting, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, I definitely think no fine, no suspension.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think they're going to suspend him for at least 1 game, if not 2.
Wow.
Because I think anytime that you throw a punch, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah,
it's not quite as egregious as the Myles Garrett helmet throwing at somebody's head.
How many games did he get? He got 2 or 6, 4,
whatever it was. It wasn't enough. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, that guy ripped a guy's helmet off and then tried to hit him with it. I mean, that's using a weapon against a guy. I mean, honestly, it is. He's not protected.
Right. Yeah.
Just man, and I'm not a Browns fan by any means, or a. were the Steelers, right? They were playing, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm not a Steelers fan either, but
Right.
man, that was bad. So, and I don't think Pacheco's was anywhere near that. But
Right.
I
Right.
think just because he chose to swing, he's going to get at least 1 game, maybe 2 game suspension.
Man, I hope not.
I hope not too, but I'm not going to be surprised if he does. So, and that's going to hurt us against the Bills.
Oh yeah, because we need to run.
Yeah. So, and
That's what I was sitting watching the game with my son, and he goes, "Why are we running the ball so much?" And I said, "Man, that is how the Chiefs have to win now." And that was like a sobering moment for me, like just talking about like, oh wow, the way the Kansas City Chiefs 2023 have to win is we have to run the ball efficiently.
Yep.
And so it's just a different year. And that's why I think I'm calling it the rebuild year.
Yeah. Yep.
So
all right. Well, to your question, where do we go from here? There's 2 big areas that the Chiefs have to improve on to get better at all. Well, probably more than 2, but 2 major ones, right? The 2 major ones is the Chiefs' offense in the red zone. They have to get better at that. Right now, they're right around a little more than 50%.
Oh.
So for touchdowns,
is that a touchdown? Okay, not a score.
That's not scoring. That's just for touchdowns.
All right.
But either way, still not. You want that to be closer to 70%.
Oh yeah, 75 at least, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what you want. The top team in the NFL right now, in the red zone is Miami, and they have 75% exactly.
Oh, there you go.
And so last year the Chiefs had a 71% touchdown rate in the touchdown or in the red zone, which is great. Yeah. And now they're around 50%, so much worse. So they have to improve that. The other thing they have to improve on is their run defense, right?
Right.
Their run defense. They are well, they're not good.
No.
They are in the bottom 5 as far as yards per rush given up. They gave up 4.6 yards per rush attempt.
Dude, I think I remember someone telling me about this on this podcast that this is going to be a problem.
I said this weeks ago. Within the first 5 weeks, I said the Chiefs' defensive run looks good by the total numbers, but they're not good because they're giving up a lot of yards per rush.
Per rush. Man, and so if we don't have
somebody should have been listening to this podcast and said, you know what? Maybe we should do something about that.
Well, and that was the thing is now we're not playing with lead. We're not explosive. And so teams are not worried. We're not the scary Chiefs we once were, unfortunately. That makes me sad to say. And you can see
the Packers game plan from the very beginning. They knew that stat too. And they said, we're just going to run it. We don't think they can stop it. And what do you know? They couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't stop it. And then especially after Tranquil went out, they really couldn't.
And then the play action was wide open. Every pass was wide open for Jordan Love. He didn't make a hard throw all game.
Nope. And so the Chiefs, they could not get pressure on Jordan Love. They couldn't stop the run, and then they failed to get the run game going in the fourth quarter for whatever reason. They just decided, you know what, we're down by 1 possession. We might as well not run it anymore. So, well, here's what the Chiefs have to do. The Chiefs offense has to start faster, eliminate penalties, and they have to get off the field earlier on defense. Oh, wait, that's what Andy Reid said in his press conference. I couldn't tell you what week because he's been saying it for the last 10 weeks. But that's exactly what he says in his press conference, and he's not wrong, but he's not fixing it. It's the same thing over and over and over. He says every week in his press conference when they lose, the Chiefs offense has got to start faster. They got to stop getting the penalties, and the defense has got to get off the field sooner.
Yeah. And so, the defense, credit to the defense. This was the worst game all year, and they gave up 27 points. And so, they're not going to be perfect. It's football. It's hard, cold conditions, which, that's what the playoffs. So that's not an excuse. But just the fact that, hey, they're going to give up some games, and that's when the offense has to come up and pick them up, right? That's when the offense has to score 35 or 34 points and be like, hey, we got you this game. Hey, you gave up 27. We need to pick you up. You have picked us up all year. And so that's where I thought the offense needed to pick them up. But like you said, the red zone fumble or the red zone mishaps, and then the penalties. You can't, we're not that explosive team where, yes, Mahomes, it was 3rd and 18 or something, and he picked it up. That was crazy. That was like old Mahomes. But that's not the norm, I guess. And so we just need to clean. And like you said, Andy Reid's exactly right. If we can clean those things up, we would be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah,
push that up.
The problem is that he's just been saying that all year long. right?
Right.
Ever since the very first game when they lost against the Lions,
Yeah.
she's been saying that. So they got to. I mean, I'm not saying that we know all the answers either, but
Well,
those
yeah.
are the things they got to change, right? And so
Yeah.
here's what I would do for this year.
Okay.
In previous
Our
years,
our rebuild year.
in our rebuild year, this is what I do for the rest of the year. What I'd work on. I would focus a lot of energy on stopping the run.
Yeah.
Because if you can't stop the run on defense, your offense isn't even going to see the field to be able to score. And then
Right.
that's when you're going to have, 5 possessions when you're entering the fourth quarter, right?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
that's what happened yesterday. There's very few possessions for each team because the Chiefs could not stop the run. And on the flip side, the Packers couldn't stop the run either.
No.
So they both did bad on that. And so that's why each team had very little possession. And when you have minimal possessions, the score is always going to be closer.
Yeah.
Always. And so I'd focus on stopping the run, right? And so whether that means that your quarterback or not quarterback, I'm sorry, your linebacker, his job is to simply spy the running back every single play, right? And so you're going to have to, be creative in the backfield to cover that middle spot for passing games, but his job only is stopping the run. And so that's either Nick Bolton or Drew Tranquil because those are the best downfield tacklers who can get off blocks fast. And so that's what I would do on defense. And yes, it's going to leave you more exposed to other areas, but once again, if you can't stop the run, you're not going to win games.
Right.
And the flip side on the offense, I wouldn't be throwing plays within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage anymore. Because that's what they're doing. They're doing it all within. I mean, obviously, there's a few more, but for the most part, they're either trying. I don't know. They're running the ball.
You are fired up today. I love it.
I know. It's just what it is. Hey, this is how you fix it this year. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
For future years, you should not do this. It's not going to win you a lot of games. But for this year, for the team you have, it's what you got to do. And then stop throwing the ball 2 yards within the line of scrimmage. And I'm not saying throw it over 20 yards. I'd give that up, honestly. Don't even try it. It's not working. You're throwing more interceptions than completions in that area. Yeah. So don't even try 20 yards. And I know you're like, oh, but you got to keep the defense honest. It doesn't matter. They don't care. They're not respecting it anyways. Don't even try it, okay? I mean, it's got to be like a Hail Mary situation to even try a 20-plus yard pass because most of our big plays anyways this year are not coming off those big downfield throws. They're coming where they're catching the ball and just getting yards after the catch.
Right.
And so scheme up more of those, not just necessarily. Here's a creative idea. What about a screenplay that's not a screenplay? So a screenplay that's not blocked by your lineman, but it's blocked by all your other wide receivers where you throw the ball, intentionally 10 yards down the field for one of two guys, and everybody else's job is to look like they're running a route, but then all of a sudden they're blocking their guys.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, just something, but throw things within less than 20 yards, but beyond 1 to 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. So that's what I would do for this year moving forward. And I'm not claiming to be a NFL football guru by any means, but they got to do something, and that's something they can actually do.
Yeah. I think what they say, a crazy person is someone that keeps doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's that's the definition of crazy. And I feel like that's sometimes what we're doing is craziness. We are doing the same thing, expecting different results, and it's not happening. And so I know we're very down on the Chiefs right now, but I think expectations have to be real. And that right now we cannot contend with the 49ers. So
no, you're absolutely correct.
And I don't even know if we can contend with the Ravens. I think we can contend with the Ravens. I think we contend with the Jags. We've beaten the Miami Dolphins. And so I think
without scoring any points in the second half.
Exactly. And so I think we can contend with the AFC, which is supposed to be stacked, but right now we are looking up a huge mountain called the 49ers. And so, I think we need to get better. I think we will. I keep saying we're going to trust Andy Reid. I keep saying that we're going to. He's going to fix these things. But Taylor continues to get penalties. We make silly mistakes on offense, and we still aren't. Yeah. So, I mean, imagine if we would have scored a touchdown. I mean, I would have been 100% in the red zone, right? Been 100% in the red zone. It would have been 28-27.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the difference. When the Packers got down there, especially in the first half, they were 100% in the red zone.
Right.
I mean, it changed later. They didn't get especially on every time in the red zone in the second half. But there's only one time they got in the red zone that they did not score a touchdown.
Right. So, I mean, man, come on, guys.
Yeah.
So we want to cheer for you. And of course, now we look forward to the Buffalo Bills. And that is they had 500 yards of offense in a loss against the Eagles. And so they can move the ball.
Yeah, they can.
And so, yeah, but we'll
All
talk
right.
about that.
Well, as we wrap up, give us one piece of encouraging thing about the Chiefs to end on.
Mahomes looks pretty good passing the ball. I mean, he was pretty efficient when he was throwing. So, I mean, that is encouraging that it's not like, I don't think it's broken. Like the Chiefs aren't broken. It can be fixed. Right. And so, but let's just fix it. We just got like kind of what Matt Nagy said a couple years ago was like, a couple games ago, was like, let's stop talking about it and let's just do it. I think that's what the Chiefs need to do. Like Andy Reid needs to say, hey, let's stop talking about it. Let's do it.
Yeah. And the Chiefs still have a great defense. They had one bad game, but it's still great. So still good things to look forward to. Thanks for joining us in this episode of the Kingdom Corner. This episode brought to you by Oh Hey Threads. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.